And hello, people of the internet. This is Billy Bones here. I'm tuning in. Checking in. This is a walk through the mind. I'm tuning in to have a conversation with you. And that's all it is. It's just a conversation. There's things that are going on, and I feel like my 2 cents would be needed. I don't even know if needed is the right word for that. But I'd like to talk about things that maybe, you don't have to agree with, but you can sit there and create your own talking points and, maybe over lunch or next time you're out hanging out with your friends, open up a conversation. Maybe see what they think about it. I'm just a blue-collar guy. I'm here to have a conversation, like I said. I'm just here to have fun, starting a new hobby, and hopefully that as we go along, you'll find at least some enjoyment into this. Today I want to talk about cashless society type stuff. It's a very convenient thing nowadays. Everybody does it, right? You got your credit card, you got your debit card, you got your Apple or your Android Pay. And if you're fancy enough to have even one of those Apple Watches, you can even pay with your watch, right? Super easy. Awesome. Don't have to carry around a freaking wallet full of cash. Man, sitting on one of those things all day. Throw your back out. Right? And so not only is it nice and convenient, but it's pretty secure. I mean, if you leave your wallet, they can get your credit cards and and if you lose your phone, well, your money is attached to that as well. But with your debit card and your credit card, you've got signatures and PIN numbers that are preventing people from going in and spending all of your money right off the bat. And if they do, traceable. Your cell phone, if you got the thumbprint, you got the facial recognition, if you got the just any kind of password on there. How many tries until Apple bricks out, locks up, blows up, Inspector Gadget style? So that's, safety precautions. If you're going to have certain eases like this, it's awesome. You have to be able to protect yourself and protect what's yours and your money and all this. It's not like cash where you open your wallet, you're fiddling through, you're trying to get that $5 bill that's in between the 1 and the 10. And as you're pulling out the 5, you don't notice that you dropped the 10 on the floor for whatever reason. And now you're out an extra $10. But this is where we come into, the start of the conversation where the cashless society bothers me. And there's, again, lots of perks to it. But, we'll just start off with the phone. Anything connected to the internet can be hacked. And that's no surprise. You can take precautions for it, and you can do your best. But at the very base of things, it's got a program. Someone else can run a program or use their abilities and get in and take over your cell phone. Such as back in the day, they had those emails. You don't click on an unknown thing and have someone download the thing, right? Sometimes you even opened it and somehow it installed on your computer, and now your computer's infected. I'm sure there's something like that for cell phones and text messages. So, and then right there, that's problem number one. You can't get into your own phone, because someone else was malicious. And it doesn't really have to even be someone malicious, right? You could have political differences, and not necessarily, the government stuff. It just, whoever you significantly disagree with on something, and they find a way to pay someone off to lock you out, right? And then we're right back to where we started. You can't use your phone. Let's even expand that to bank accounts. If you want to go extremely on the extreme end, you run into some place that has something like a dictatorship, or some sources of government that have that much power, they can shut off your money. And then you throw in the element of corruption. Any type of corruption, right? It doesn't have to be you, Joe Blow, sitting there on the park bench that they're going to cut your money off. But maybe, whatever, you slighted the next politician in this dictatorship. They didn't like it. And they're going to go in, cut your money off. There's a story that I heard the other day about a dictator we all know pretty well. No, he's a president. My bad. Excuse me. And one of his rivals was causing such a ruckus and threw him in jail and took all his money. Granted, that's government power, but he had no cash in his hand. And you can apply that to, your cell phone or your credit cards. Someone doesn't like it, boom, cut off. So, and then, onto the debit cards, right? You go to your ATM, and there are card readers that people have figured out how to create to put on top of the ATM. So when you run your information will be passed on to the card reader. And then that person will have your information. They don't have to go out and create another card. They just have to create the magnetic strip long enough to go into the ATM, type in your PIN, because they get that with the card reader, and run off with it. And now you're out of money because you don't have cash on hand in case of an emergency. And as far as other people stealing your information under the cashless society, it's very altruistic, and I'm sure 99% of them, for the homeless people that have the iPhones with the card readers, so that way you can just donate $1 or $5 or whatever you're feeling, right? And you just give your signature. All it takes is one person to screw it up for everybody. And maybe they're not homeless. Maybe they're really crafty. Maybe they figured out how to take all your information, make it look like a program. You swipe your card because you're being altruistic, you're being the good human, you're being the good fellow human, like you're supposed to be, like everybody wants to be. No one wants to be an asshole. But what happens when they steal your information? How do you trace that as easily? You know, pretty sure it was around last year, India halted production of a couple different bills. We'll, for simplicity's sake, we'll call them like a $5 bill and the $10 bill. I don't have the information in front of me, and you get to deal with it. And if you're looking for it, it shouldn't be that hard to look up. Do some search engine stuff. Excuse me. So India stopped the production on a couple different bills, 5 and 10s. And this was for the purpose of preventing counterfeits. Because when you receive counterfeit money, the government doesn't back it. No one backs it. It's just scrap. And now you're stuck holding money that's not worth anything. You're out whatever you gave for that money. And you can't use that money elsewhere. So to prevent the counterfeiting of these, again, just for the purpose of conversation, $5 and $10 bills, they cut the production of those. And again, to prevent counterfeiting. This forced everybody onto their cell phones with Apple and Android Pay or whatever they have over in India. Because no longer could you make it feasible to buy something for $5, you hand them a $20, and now they have to hand you $15 in ones. And the next person comes in and they buy something for $5. Hand them a $20. There's $15 in ones. There's only so much that is worth the effort to bring in that much money or cash just to exchange with people throughout the community. And they have reinstated, if I remember correctly, the production of those bills. They got whoever they wanted to get. But, again, just an example of the government shutting down the money. Does it connect anywhere? It might not. But it needs, that's something that needs to be said, right? Because everybody was forced into using the cell phones and electronic pay. So, I could have done a better job structuring this. Deal with it. This is episode 0. You guys get to learn, or deal with me learning how to learn this shit. So what happens when there's a power outage for your digital money? Easy examples include the recent hurricanes in Florida, Houston, Texas, and Puerto Rico. Right? Houston, local, easy, came back quick. Florida hit harder, but still doing really good. But longer than Houston's dealing with. Now Puerto Rico, they're still out of power as of today, right? Well, for the most of it, there wasn't much power to begin with, but now there's less power. How do you charge your cell phone? How do you use your Apple Pay, your Android Pay? Just go to Houston, right? We'll keep this real simple. We'll go to Houston, right? Not down for that long. Yes, the flooding's bad, damage is bad, but we're talking money. We're talking cashless society. So, let's say you're in a bad spot that didn't have power for 5 days. Right? Your phone's dead. No Apple Pay. All right. Well, what do? Well, we're going to go to the ATM. This is a safe ATM. It doesn't have the card reader on it. But the bank doesn't have power. Well, now you got to go to the next town. Do you have enough gas for that? You go to the gas station. There's no power at the gas station. Right? Well, now you can't use your debit card because they need to be able to use the debit machine, which takes electricity, and it needs to connect to the internet, which needs electricity to process your payment. And that's if they're running on a generator to pump the gas, which is possible, but I don't know. Not smart at all, but we're here having a conversation. Let's assume they have a generator to get their gas going. Do you live in a small enough town where they know who you are that they'd be willing to take an IOU? Well, I know, Bob. I know you're good for your money. And as soon as we get the power back on, we'll go ahead and we'll settle up the bill. You go ahead, take $20 worth of gas right now, and we'll see you in a couple days when the power gets back on. We know you need that gas. Now, let's say you don't need gas, but you don't need milk, because milk's not going to last. But you want to buy bread, or peanut butter, or canned soup. You go to the grocery store. They don't have power. They can sure as hell log the stuff, right? And then when the power gets back on, then they can send it into the headquarters and be like, well, even though we were down for 3 days, we still sold 15 bags of chips. And now we need to replenish those. But when there's a natural disaster like this, they've only got those 15 bags of chips. Or those 20 cans of soup. Or 15 gallons of water jugs. 15 1-gallon water jugs. However we should understand. Now, you run into a supply and demand issue. So not only do you not have Apple Pay, you don't have your debit card available, and now you need to buy water, at the very least. Or soup, chips, bread. Right? Sustenance. How do you pay? One of the local DJs here was talking about an emergency kit for natural disasters. The DJ used to live down in Louisiana, where and was living there when Katrina was hit. I don't know when this conversation took place. He only went over it briefly. But he was talking to his buddy, and his buddy said in his disaster relief kit, where you have your iodine, your Band-Aids, and your flashlights, and your extra batteries. He also kept, the guy on the radio said, $1,000 cash. So that way, when it happens, you get everything squared away, you get yourself safe, right? Now you get to focus on once you got your shelter, now you need to figure out how you're going to eat and survive. You can go to the grocery store and you can pay for stuff because you have some cash. You may only be able to buy something, but something is better than nothing. And we all saw, I don't know about all of us, but there were plenty of pictures of cartons of water going for an absurd amount of money. You normally spend $10, for, I don't know, a 12-pack of water, 24-pack of water, right? Well, now that the disaster has struck, that $12 pack of water is now $24. A can of soup, instead of being 50 cents, is now $2. Supply and demand. There's only so much available. Everybody wants it. Someone will make money. You can't always rely on the people of good faith to come out there and help you. There will be people like that. There's always going to be. We can be very happy for stuff like that. But you still have to pay for the groceries. You're still living in a society which accepts cash. And then barring an economic collapse of the dollar, here in America at least, you'll be able to spend it. You won't have to worry about an IOU from the guy down at the gas station who's also going through a problem, just like you, because you guys are, I'm assuming, all in the same town that's having this natural disaster. Now, it's an old movie, but if you want to see the tech-savvy kind of guy, remember I was talking about the guy with the iPhone, right? And you swipe your card. Just, you're giving him some money, right? He needs money. You're feeling good about yourself. Tech-savvy guy. Now I'm talking about a movie from like early 90s called Hackers. Spoiler alert, it's been out for more than 2 weeks. Deal with it. But in the movie, there's a point where they go in and through phenomenal imagery, because I know coding is nowhere near that exciting, but through phenomenal imaging, they go through and they systematically shut down this guy's payment sources, and they just mess with him. And they had nothing, as far as I recall, they had nothing against the guy. It was just, well, they had something against him, but he wasn't out to kill him, right? They were just out proving a point, showing that they could do something. You don't have to go out and create enemies. You just have to come up on someone's radar. This conversation is not to bring anybody down. This is just a conversation. This is me joining the conversation. I just want to make my voice heard, and our world today, we need more conversation with each other. We've got people living in condos and townhomes and apartment buildings. Places that hold 1,000 people, and you don't even know your neighbors. You don't have to be friends. You don't have to be best buddies. All you gotta do is say hello, wave. You just gotta say hi. And that little bit of niceness, hopefully, will pay off in the end. Oh, you're the guy down the hall. I recognize you. I remember you. Good to see you. Glad you made it through. Right? Just because you said hi that one day. Maybe not, But it doesn't hurt to help. Maybe you get invited to a barbecue. Who knows, right? Don't have to create a conversation. Don't have to. All you gotta do is just say hi. We need just a little bit more conversation between us. And we'll make it through. I promise. We'll all be good. So, here's hoping you've made it this far to the end of this thing. Here's hoping that you actually found, some value within all of this. Hopefully that you can take some of this information and share it with other people. You don't have to agree with everything. Bring up the silly talking points like I did, not in order. But talk with someone. Talk with your friends. See what they say. And the biggest takeaway from this, keep money in your house. Doesn't have to be a lot. But when shit hits the fan, a little bit of green stuff doesn't hurt. I'm Billy Bones. Thank you for listening.